Hey friends, it's Joe from DadBod. Today it's around 5:12 in the morning and it's 72 degrees and almost early October now. So we're gonna go do 5 miles. I'm gonna start with like a little mini walk warm up. And then we'll go from there. But the sun should come out soon. So we got that going for us, which is nice. I hope everybody's doing well. I think I locked the orientation with the phone, so it should work, hypothetically. Just walk up and around this corner and see if I can jog. Now, the aspiration is 5 miles. See how I'm feeling. Alright, here we go. So I hope just to find a nice, mellow, trottle pace. Should be a good one. Now, for those of you who may be new here, I just completed the DadBod half marathon training program. A program of my own creation with support from a fitness content creator, Musa Boot, who designed the lifts. And I did the whole running plan. But I ran the half marathon 2 Saturdays ago. So last week was a recovery week to kind of work out all the kinks. Now I'm trying to get back into decent distances. But I will say, like, there's kind of like weakest links I've been working through. So we'll see how that all fares. I hope y'all are doing well. Thanks for joining me on the run. Hopefully, I'm new to YouTube Live, so I think people will join little by little. We'll see. It's because it's fun. And from time to time, I will just breathe and focus. Now, one of the things I'm not used to doing is holding something in my hand while I run. It's super weird, actually, and actually quite challenging. I mean, this iPhone feels like a mini, like it's super small, but it's just got enough weight on it. I feel like my shoulders are off balance. So it's something I'm learning how to do. Welcome to the overpass. It's too noisy. They closed my ravine because trees. There's like this awesome ravine that I used to run through. But right now, I'm running parallel to it because of risk of falling trees. Whatever. I don't know where someone. Oh my gosh. I saw this. I gotta slow my breath. I saw this Dave Goggins parody. It was like a 10 out of 10. It's absolutely incredible. Like the dude had like the arm movement and everything. And like looking forward, looking camera, looking forward. Like everything about it was perfect. But it was like if Dave Goggins had a dark side. And don't remember the exact words, but it's like something along the lines of like, people are telling me when you're gonna start a family. You know? I was like, I already got a family. Hey, what's up, non-dog? This is Noble, what's up? Noble, you like Dave Goggins? I found this Dave Goggins parody. Or Nobe. Excellent. Welcome, buddy. So, this is like the first time I've done an IRL run in Japan and actually been able to talk to somebody. So it's going to be a huge learning for me to figure out how to look at chat, how to run, talk, the whole works. Especially because my hand's shaking. So prepare yourself for like C-grade content. Whew, David Goggins, stay hard. Yeah. I found this parody video where this dude like did Dave Goggins. I'm going down these death stairs. This dude did like Dave Goggins parody. He's got a similar build. I mean, a little mushier than Goggins, because Goggins is crazy lean. And like, he was running, having somebody film him from a car or a bike. Had the little arm sway. Even like the perfect like head tilt. His Goggins will look forward and then he'll look at the camera and look forward, right? But it was just like, all these mother effers talking about how important it is to start a family. And he's like, listen, guess what? I got a family. He's like, but they don't know me, son. They've been thinking I've been out getting the groceries for the last 26 years. Abandon your family. Stay hard. I watched that thing like 27 times. It was perfect. Cool scenery. Oh yeah, Japan's amazing. And like, this is my path. So I run this thing 3 times a week. I got my river behind us. It goes into like a wooded forest, and there's a Shinto shrine there as well. It's wonderful. I know someone else who stationed with Goggins. Oh, really? Yeah, he's not the same in real life. I believe it. Anyone who makes social media recognizes there's a little bit of a persona. It's just like, I think it's impossible to exist in those spaces and be like 100% authentic. Because when you're on camera, things are just different. You have to embody a little bit more personality. You have to be a little bit more engaging. You know, like if Dave Goggins is at like the neighbor's barbecue, he's not gonna be dripping in sweat, dehydrated, running, looking sideways, spouting off some kind of inspirational pseudo-toxic mantra. He's probably gonna be like, hey man, hot dogs are great, but you should really be grilling chicken. It's a little bit better for you from a protein perspective and a saturated fat. I don't know, probably just knowledgeable, normal dude. Have you ever gone to barbecue with Goggins? I know, right? That would be crazy. Say, noble alien bro. Really appreciate you hopping into the community. Like, I made that Swole Buddies page a year ago. I've just been hoping for folks to find it and start posting their own journey. Actually, all the tabs are kind of made with the intent that people can post things they like. One second. And it's just been kind of quiet in our Discord. So we got a big vision for it, but it's not there yet. So like, you are more than welcome to use Swole Buddies as a means of tracking your own progress and encouraging others in the community, and eventually we'll keep adopting cool people that are on their own journey and you can support. Yeah, I actually have a similar Discord server that's only for myself. Nice. It's similar to how you run yours, so I like the vibe of it. Thank you so much. Well, it's like one of those things where I'm a father, a husband, an engineer, global leader. I'm in grad school, and I'm a content creator. So like, community engagement's so important, but I don't always have the bandwidth to like be communicating to everyone all the time, every single way. So I wanted to make a space for members of our community to interact with one another autonomously. Yeah, that's what Discord's for. Almost died. Almost died. There we go. So this is the view, bud. This is where I come to run. It's awesome. I'm gonna take a mini walk. Yeah, it's wonderful out here. I can normally get out here in time to catch a sunrise, unless it's peak summer. The sunrise is at like 4:30 in Japan. Let me check. Don't die. No, I won't die. It is so peaceful, yeah. And most Japanese start their day a little bit later. Like, most folks get into the office around 9-ish. So a lot of your morning workout folks are actually out here around 6:30. So when I get out at 5, it's pretty much a ghost town. Not always. There's always some Japanese goggins out here. You could buy some sort of gimbal. Yes, that's the goal. Ideally, I want to get a streaming backpack, a GoPro on my head, wire it all in. So it's the same vibe as the DadBod workouts, because that's just a GoPro on my head looking forward. But, and then I can have a better mic integrated into all that as well. That's, $4,000 once I get it all rigged out. So for now, we get the shaky camera. But that's the master plan. Like, that's the kind of content I would love making. And I love the conversation, which is really neat. All right, I'm almost at a mile. I'm gonna do a couple deadlifts. So I'm learning how to like hold a phone and run. It's not a skill I have. So it is shaky after the audio is like a C-. But you're pretty cool. So I'm gonna take you along for a run in Japan. All right, here we go. If you like making content, the rest should come. I do. I enjoy it. I've made like 1,600 videos in the last 3 years. Oops, got a rock in my shoe. Getting too excited about that. Out of there. No. It's hard though, because we've talked about social media a little bit. Like, these platforms incentivize you to be stuck in the platform, even as a creator. There's so many like short-term dopamine release triggers to just keep you captive in the spaces so that you can create for them for free without necessarily any kind of financial reward, and that you could also consume from the platform and just give it your whole life. So it's an area where like I've been trying to build things out a little bit differently for me. And the develop tools to stay off the platforms while still creating for them. And to build the community is kind of my ultimate goal. But you're never gonna really compete with the platform.
Total distance 1 mile.
Hey.
Total time 15 minutes and 3 seconds. Split pace 15 minutes, 2
I'll
seconds
take it.
per mile.
That makes sense. Yeah, so there's just so much I've learned in the last 3 years in these spaces where, man, content creation's really affected me psychologically. What am I gonna do about that? 1 mile down, 4 to go. Stay hard or stay soft. I'm fluffy. Stay fluffy. Yeah, so it's an area where like I enjoy the process of creation. It's all the other psychological pieces that are really challenging. Does it say stay 40? Stay frosty? Hilarious. So it's been definitely been a journey over the last 3 years, but I'm really hopeful that we can actually make a business that's half profitable. Maybe by the end of this year, because we've been doing it for free for so long. You know, literally like thousands of hours of live streaming, content creation, and because of different pieces of hardware and software, I've definitely spent more money than we've made. Oh no, I gotta slow down to read it. I always kind of wanted to move to Japan. You should do it. At least visit. Have you visited before? But I don't know what I would do for money. Oh, what do you do for money right now? And thanks for the like, friend. I don't know who liked the live, but that's super awesome. It's literally the first like I've ever received on a YouTube live stream. So consider yourself special, whether that's Noble Alien Bro or somebody else. I have visited numerous times, but in short amounts. Okay, very nice. Oh my gosh, 2 likes. Crazy. Unreal. Thanks so much, friends. The kindness. So wonderful. But actually, it wasn't me. But I did just now. Well, now you know. You are officially the second person in history to like our YouTube live. So blessings, brother. It's funny, I was reading your text this morning, and I was like, this is so cool. You know, like, just because like I was looking at like you interested in the journey, me sending you this stuff, you having some boundaries with Google, which I totally respect. But like, you showed up to a live off like a custom little algorithm you had to find small-time creators. You hopped into our Discord, which isn't really alive yet. And you're like, I'm gonna get comfy here. This is a cool little corner of the internet. And coming from like my faith background, as like Christians, we often consider like people being like brothers or sisters in Christ kind of thing. And I was like, I got myself a Buddhist brother. This is awesome. Let's go work out together. Because this is the first long run I've done since a half marathon. And having the motivation to do it without having to record a video for a program, super hard. But knowing that there's someone who's posting their workouts on Get Swole, and that if I go live, someone would be there, I was like, all right, I could go run for an hour and 15 minutes. I could wake up at 4:30. There's something there, not just for me, but for other people. So that was super cool. I like the small personal communities. Awesome. Well, if we get super big, it's okay if you find another one. I won't judge you. Everyone's got preferences. Based on over the last 3 years, we'll probably be small for another 5 years or so. You enjoy spiritual minded conversations. Yeah. Oh yeah, welcome my Buddhist brother. I'm really excited to hear about your journey over time. I think it's a beautiful thing you're trying to do. Find your path. What is it I'm trying to learn now? So, what leads to suffering? We got greed, we got hate, ignorance. Are those the three? So what's led me to my current suffering? Greed, anger, hate, ignorance. Well, I'm not ignorant because I chose this. I consent to being here. Is it greed? Has greed driven me to this discomfort? Greed roots. Alright. Get it, OG-san. Dude, the Japanese grandpas. Next level out here. I love seeing the old folk run in Japan because they're just so much more alive than in the US. Japan has an amazing fitness rhythm. You're just on your feet, you're walking everywhere, standing everywhere. It's super hard. They are not binary. So when we have ignorance, which causes us to desire things, and when we don't get what our desires, we get aversion. Oh, interesting. So it all overlaps. Very cool. I mean, it's not cool if you're stuck in the overlap, I guess. But yeah, when I did my half marathon last Saturday, I ran with an OG-san. There's this old dude in the back. Bro stayed strong for 11 miles, which is like 17 kilometers, just locked in his pace. My pace was variable in a struggle bus because I was coming off of COVID. My training was disrupted the last 3 weeks of the program, so I was a hot mess runner. This dude, calm and collected. He's 79 years old. 79 out here running. And the US folks are fighting through obesity, heart disease, dying prematurely of like preventable diseases. 79-year-old's just like showing up, putting in the work. He went 11 miles. He's like, yeah, that's enough for today. Hopped on the train and went home. I was like, that's amazing. And also the self-control to be like, yeah, I'm 79. I don't need the 2 extra miles for like the vanity metric of completion. Let me just hop on a train and say I'm good. It's the root of all ignorance. What is the root of ignorance? Ran with no what? Wow. He just ran like with consistency. We stopped for bathroom breaks at Family Marts and buying water, like holistically. 79-year-old OG-san, which just means grandpa in Japanese. Like, crazy consistent. It was amazing. Wow. Have you ever read the book Born to Run? I have not. I have an aversion to books. Knowledge captured in words. Because I have to read too many for grad school. I mean, I need to make a list of like things recommended and work to them. But I've been sunk by school for like the last 4 years. Because like in like career development, you know, you get a new manager or a new colleague, you start talking like, hey, so-and-so's got a book. Have you ever read this book? It's like, hell no! I haven't read anything. I'm my own desire in 4 years. They're like, dude, settle down. It's not that bad. Here's your view, by the way. I always run over that blue bridge, and it looks deceptively close. It's actually huge. There's a train track in front of it. So it's like a forced perspective issue. But then it takes me into that city, and I run along the river back from where I came. So we're about to hit the 2-mile marker. And then when I pass over the bridge, it's about 3. Yeah, it's beautiful view. Especially when I catch the sunrise just right. Clouds are covering it now. It's wild. I want to run that trail. Well, when you come on vacation to Japan, we'll go for a run, bud. Sorry about that. Hey, come and meet me at Todoroki Station. We'll get it done. You can go back on that train from wherever you came, take a shower. Because I'm just not ready for anyone in our digital community to know exactly where I live. It's a little bit too close to home. But I'm happy to meet in a public space. I got kids, even though you're good people. When I was training for my marathon, I always ran my long runs with a pace. At a pace so I could have a conversation with my training partner. Dude, that's so cool. That's why I built the whole DadBod journey. Because, and actually I didn't really figure out like what stage of life you're in. I think you're not married yet. But like, let's say we love running, right? Like in high school, even college, you could wake up super early and go for a run. Or do night running, which I used to do. You train for your half marathons, all that jazz. When you get married and start having children, like maybe you and your spouse used to run together. That's super cool, but like it becomes a lot more complicated, especially in the newborn age until their school age, which is normally around 4 or 5. The two of you can't just go for a run together because who's watching your kid? Well, add more children, it gets more complex. And if you both want to run in the morning, you have to take turns, which means you push your routine super early, which is possible for some. But then your evenings, if they're time to hang out, those get estranged. Or if one runs in the morning and one runs at night, when do you see each other to hang out? Besides your work commitments and your parenting commitments. So like, it's really hard to find a running buddy that can run at your pace, similar level of fitness, encourage you.
Total distance 2 miles.
Hey, 2 miles.
Total time 28 minutes and
Let's
13
go.
seconds. Split pace 13 minutes 10 seconds per mile.
Nice. We just gotta make it to 2.5. So like, even if you used to socially run back in the day, you like wake up in your late 20s, early 30s, and you're like, this is really hard. From a logistical perspective, and also from a community perspective. And like, how do you navigate your responsibilities as a father, a spouse, and still care for yourself from a health perspective? So, the vision of recording a 16-week training program with a GoPro on my head was really for somebody to have a virtual running buddy, so that it clears out a lot of those life barriers. It's like, I'll check chat in a minute, I realize I'm just rambling. But like, it clears out a lot of those barriers because I could at least wake up early, put on my shoes, and I have a Joe. And Joe will talk with me. And Joe is also heavy and injured. So if it's hard for Joe, it can be hard for me. Let's go get it, right? Because like the two extremes we find on the internet, super body positivity, fully accept yourself, which is important, or like super purpose-driven, over-disciplined, slightly toxic, unattainable fitness influencer type, which have put in the work to get where they're at. But there's like not a lot of middle ground of people that can still love and accept where they're at, but incrementally take steps towards fitness and progress. This is the view. This is why I run, dude. The light hits it just right. Got your river. Sometimes there's old folk out here fishing. Crows out here in the morning. Stay hard. Catch up on comments. It's just hard to read in a puddle. You gotta get better at it. When I was training for my marathon, right, you had a running buddy. That's smart. You should assume that there are people trying to social engineer you to giving up info. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, you have to start somewhere. Yeah, that's so nice. It is, and it's like, just want to give people access to the path. A lot of DadBod is just providing a space for people to take those steps incrementally towards progress without being crushed by expectations that just aren't attainable in the near future, right? Like, if you're 250 pounds, which is lighter than me, but let's say your average height, I'm pretty tall. Like, you shouldn't expect that in 16 weeks, if you run and train for a half marathon, that you're gonna run every single mile at your high school running pace and lose 40 pounds and end up with chiseled abs. Like, that's not what training for a half marathon will do to your body. It'll make some progress, might lose some weight, but if you're 30 and you want to run safely, you gotta do strength. Like, sorry, I try not to talk when I'm passing the morning stretchers, but like, you have to do a lot of core back strength, squats, hamstrings. You gotta work all that so your body can run with good posture and good form for a long distance. And if you're not used to doing that, your bones are gonna harden up, you're gonna put on muscle, and your weight will probably stay around where it was at while you lose fat. But people go in with the wrong expectation, and then they get demotivated 4 or 5 weeks in when they don't see progress and running's hard, and then they just slip back into the way things were. So the whole program, when I'm running and lifting, I'm really just coaching around some of those things. That's the Toyoko line. It'll take you out to Kawasaki. How long are you planning on living in Japan? Well, the initial offer was 2 to 3 years. We're bumping up on 2 right now. Ooh, train. I know, I love it. Running under a train with the view. It's just so cool, man. This is like the path. Gets me out of here. Oh shoot, I gotta watch my miles, because I'm only supposed to go to 2.5 today. Where are we at? Oh, we're very close. 2.14. Nice. So it's 2 to 3 years. We had, oh yeah, share with you. I had like 12 relocations before getting out to Japan. So, well, it's so hard to get this close and not run over it, but today's workout's not about that. So I think I'm gonna be able to touch it. But right now I'm working on negotiation to stay for the 5 to 10 year horizon. But it's tricky because like J&J, I'm a shared cost. So the US engineering group pays my base salary, which based on what they're asking me to do, is actually too low. That's a whole conversation I'll post on someday. And then the Japan team covers all housing and schooling, which is an extensive bonus. So I really have to deliver a lot of value
if they're going to extend it. So it's, from my faith context, that's a huge area of prayer. Hey, 250, turn it around. We'll see you bridge next week. Next week we go out to 6 miles. So actually get to run across it. So that's Kawasaki. Right now you're in Tokyo. Kawasaki, Tokyo. It's like different states. It's like if you're in Cincinnati on the Ohio side and you ran across the bridge to Kentucky. It's awesome. But hey, halfway. Feeling pretty fresh. Talking live is pretty cool. Yo, you read the blog post? What? How was it? How are the typos? It's my first one, but I'm not fishing for compliments. Just looking for critique, and if it's valuable, if it's something I should keep doing. I believe in it. It's just kind of hard work. And my hope is that when people read them, in the comments they'll like put a question for next week's blog. I forgot to add a call to action though, which I have to do. Typos were everywhere. I know I used the wrong editor. I'm gonna fix it. It was horrendous. Everything was like perfect because I wasn't getting feedback that there's errors. I posted it and opened it in a different Chrome browser because I have multiple browser profiles, and then everything lit up from Grammarly red, orange, and I was like, I'm too tired. I give up. But we were chatting. I was like, oh, maybe the story will come through, and then I can edit it. I haven't formally posted it yet because the trick is to like make the blog, write the blog, but then push the blog to the socials through short form content, which is work as well. Interesting story. Tried to make a comment, but the site didn't like my browser settings. Dude, your browser settings must be fierce. I love what you're doing. See, you just get great clouds. Nice puffy clouds in the morning. I don't know, it's just different than in the US. We still have rivers and sun and clouds, but there is a different aesthetic in Japan that I respect and enjoy. They are your browser settings. Super fierce. What are you trying to hide? So I'm guessing you got your location services turned off too. Only use a landline from a secure location, safe house. I use Brave browser, which has good privacy options. Block enabled by default. Oh, cool. It's a horrible argument. Just trolling. Dude, if big tech or the government wants to know who you are, where you are, and what you say, so that they can wire that all in to an Avengers hijacked helicopter controlled by Hydra to zap you with a laser from space, there ain't nothing you can do, son. Except if you're Goggins, you could probably outrun it. But for most folks that are soft, nothing you could do. Privacy is so important for humanity. It totally is. But unfortunately, from an economic position, none of these companies, and I would say the government, are incentivized to secure and protect your privacy, or at least that culture hasn't permeated into society. It hasn't permeated into society and into the politicians we put in power to regulate or lack thereof. So everything's a hook to retain your eyes so they can retain their ads. It's not a big conspiracy, it's just economics. It's absolutely the stuff you can do. Yes, but if they truly wanted to find you, you're found. You gotta remember, the government's sitting on assets like Jason Bourne, okay? There's nothing you can do. Well, maybe someday, if you find things you can do to outrun Bourne, we can capture it in a Pretentious Engineer blog post. Maybe we could co-write one on the things you can do to protect your passwords, your identity, people you love, and most importantly though, to outrun Jason Bourne. Once the government sends him on you, I mean, you're gonna have a hard time. Like, even at the start of the second Bourne movie, like, the government found like his little girlfriend, his little moped shop out in Argentina or wherever he was at. Like, there's really nowhere you can go. So, is this super toxic? I mean, they want to make the public accept that they can discriminate based on views. Oh yeah, no protesting will be allowed. That's very true. All these platforms can funnel perspectives towards engagement. If it is in the best interest of engagement, to polarize folks, to drive higher engagement, for higher revenue, it's a difficult space to regulate. Or to protest digitally, there is not one true, authentic public square to host a protesting. And even if you host a
Total
protest,
distance 3 miles.
hey,
Total
3
time
miles.
41 minutes and 33 seconds.
Even if you
Split
host a
pace 15
protest
minutes 20 seconds per mile.
in a real public square, like Cincinnati, Chicago, depending on how it's filmed, edited, presented, it can be re-uploaded to the digital micro public squares and coerced or spun to gradually shift perspectives in whichever way that power desires to. Right. Culture wars are so totally set up on the internet at the expense of people. People are learning about these spaces, but it's really hard to outsmart psychology embedded into artificial intelligence. Like, people are really powerless in a lot of these spaces. Like, you aware of like Cambridge Analytica? Whew. Feeling it. Still trying to hold pace. It is motivating to read, chat, and know that if I go to this, somebody's with me. And they're like, dude, you could probably keep going. I was like, but it's so nice. I like the walk. The walk is good. It is good. But this is where my capability is today, so I should probably stay in this zone. I think there are things the public can do to protect themselves. There are, but let's agree there are things that you can do, so long as they don't accept certain corporate talking points. Yeah, but like, the talking points are subtle. Like, if you research Cambridge Analytica, like, his entire company seeded like deep government funding. I forgot which side. I think it was the right, but I can't remember. But like, their whole thing was through access to your social media profiles. They could steer entire groups of people towards certain election outcomes, which both sides are trying to do that. Cambridge just got found out. You know, there's some really good documentaries on it. Like, watch it for grad school. There's some undercover interviews with like the leaders of the company. Like, they fixed Brexit, for instance. Yeah, I'm familiar with those. So when you embed different aspects of psychology into social media platforms with money. Common folk who can't protect themselves. How does anyone know this? And that's the tricky part, because like, A, you do your browser security, so they can't get cookies, so what you watch or see isn't as targeted. All of that, I think, is a tremendous help. So I don't want to downplay that. I'm looking, I think, wider at some of the systemic issues, and to turn that boat is very difficult. Yeah, a couple people, individual players, can do certain things to kind of become a Luddite or pull themselves out of certain platform dependencies, certain services, just like what you're doing with Google. But it doesn't fully turn the boat unless everyone does it, and everyone won't, because we all like our free Gmail and our 15 gigs of storage for Drive and the services they offer. So we'll deal with the ads or try to block them with an external browser. The systemic issues are a big problem. Yeah, it's a mess. It's an area I've actually focused on in grad school, so I love these conversations. Bro's got a miracle pace. Look at that. He's got hands and everything. Love it. And it's true. But if enough people do that, it will at least slow down their progress. Yes, resistance is important. Taking deep learnings from the Borg, resistance is futile. I'm just playing. Even if it might not affect it. This is the right conversation. In order to implement change, grassroots is important. Yeah, resistance is important. But you do also need things from the top to drive down. And because the fundamental economics of this are not in favor of a system that helps people legitimately without capitalizing on who they are and mining them for data. Like, you have to burn down that economic system and rebuild it through legislation. But we have a free market, so you have to like move towards socialized capitalism. So it's a multi-decade thing. I'm gonna walk. Heart rate's running. As am I. You never know what could happen in the future. Oh yeah, dude. Like I said, this is just like a nice intellectual stress test while running. Adds a sense of urgency to it. That way when I'm in a heated debate about some kind of robotic software, I won't physically be running, so I can take a breath and provide better insight. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. So in the distance, I don't know if the iPhone can pick it up, there's mountains around there. And then Mount Fuji, which you can't see, is right through that tree. I mean, it's a ways off. It's still like an hour bullet train, if not more, from where I live. But it's a big rock, you can see it. Just with the deadlifts. Woo! I can only do 3 of these just to get my core. More. Lost tennis ball. Devastating. You know how sad that dog must be. And his owner forgot his prized tennis ball at the park. A very, very sad dog. I've heard that if you stress your mind while running, it provides more resistance, so that when you run without mind stress, it'll ease you. Yes. And when you think or navigate stress without running, it will also be easier. I think it works in both ways. That's why, for me, the other element that we don't have today, because it's a nice day, as much as I hate it, I love running in death, humid heat. It just saps the life out of you. It's majestic. And then I also love in frigid cold, in shorts and a t-shirt, and just throwing myself in the elements. It's anything kind of mental. So we're 4 miles in, just about. Let me check my Tracky app. And 6:06, not bad. Kids wake up around 6:30, so I'm tracking well towards making breakfast before school. But we are at, I lost it, 3.65, so almost 4. I normally do a GUI packet every 2 miles or so, but talking with you, the social element pushing me to run a little harder and a little faster has been great. But I've forgotten my breathing. I've run with suboptimal form a little bit today, and I haven't hydrated or taken in the right GUI. So I'm going to take a GUI break, but I don't know how to do that with one hand on the phone, so this is going to be interesting. These things are sticky, I hate them. And every single one of them is disgusting. But it is good for the body. I have found the more I run, the less often I need them, which is kind of cool. Oh, it's beautiful this morning. And we still got the moon. I love when it's a sunny day and the moon's out. As an engineer, I still don't really understand the physics of that. Like, I know that things aren't perfectly in orbit apart from each other. Like, the sun's always equal distance from the earth and the moon. No, that doesn't make sense because we just get pulled into the sun. But like, they're on opposite sides. There you go. I know they like orbit in different angles and the orbits aren't perfect circles. I just don't know how that happens though, where I can like see the moon and the earth. I know if I put this out as a Pretentious Engineer TikTok, I'd get in trouble. Space is so fascinating. My roommate, sorry, I'm gonna rub my nose. My roommate was an astronomer in college. Super smart guy. I believe now he's working at a children's museum. But he loves space. The immense size of things is crazy. Oh yeah, and the origin story, right? How'd we end up on this rock? Out of all the other rocks. What did Buddhist people think about aliens? Oh, this is so disgusting. I normally do these when I run. Like actively running. I don't know how I could possibly do that and talk and hold the phone. I actually wanted to ask you what your Christian faith says about the distant stars and space and objects. Cool, here's some more interfaith dialogue. Let me finish this disgusting substance and then I can try to chat. Maybe I'll turn the run back on. Although you do burn. Just by walking you burn a lot. Yummy. Oh my gosh. It's all sticky. Gross. I normally have to like lick my fingers and stuff. It just tastes like cream cheese frosting gone bad. Alright, let me throw this in the talk and I can check. What does the Christian faith say about distant stars, planets, objects? I'll assume we can throw aliens in there for giggles if you want. There as well. Alright, here we go. Let's throttle back into this. Oh, this is my pace. This is the throttle. Alright? That's one of the things I teach. Is you don't always need to run when the cardio's out of control. You just settle into it. They don't know me, son. Still think I'm out getting groceries for the last 28 years. Abandon your family. Stay hard. Don't do that. Don't do that. That'd be terrible. This is my personal insight. I personally have come to the insight about life. Other plants basically, I think, logically, we exist on the planet. And since existence is logical, there's life out there as well. I haven't come across Buddhist belief about it though yet. Yeah, and like, so my working theological perspective, then, so I'm studying in theology, right? Even though I'm studying global leadership, it is at a Christian seminary. So, I always try to like make eye contact and say good morning. So like filming doesn't get weird for Japanese people. So like from a theological perspective, before we even get to space, it's kind of two approaches to scripture within a Christian context. Every faith approaches their holy books with similar and diverse perspectives. So we're just going to speak on Christianity. So like, we have something called hermeneutics, and oh no, don't forget the other word. Crap! What's the other word? Oh, I'm gonna fail my midterm. We'll start with hermeneutics. Maybe the other word will come to me. I'll look it up. Exegesis. There you go. Hermeneutics and exegesis. Big theological words. Right. Here's what it means. When you look at the Bible or a given story, let's look at, there's an Old Testament and New Testament. Old Testament is kind of everything before Jesus. Although,
total distance 4 miles.
Hey, 4 miles.
Total time 56
Some argue
minutes
Jesus was still part of the Old Testament.
Split pace 15 minutes,
And
10 seconds per mile.
New Testament is basically the finishing of God's larger story and like the appearance of Christ and what that means for us as humans. Or could mean, based on this understanding. I haven't come, okay, yeah. And then I was just making sure I didn't miss a comment. So like, with hermeneutics, let's say there's a story in Hebrews. So there's a book of the Bible in the New Testament called Hebrews. It's written to a group of Jewish people who heard about Jesus. They're like, Jesus is pretty cool, I want to follow Jesus. But they're experiencing like incredible persecution. So the culture is coming down on them, whether it's the normative Jewish culture as well as like Roman Empire, and they're killing people in this body of believers. Like the church is underground, and they've gained persecution. Hermeneutics, when you read through the book of Hebrews, would be asking questions like, what did these words mean to the people that received them at the time? So, we actually don't know who the author is of Hebrews. Some think it's an apostle named Paul. Other people think it's a leader in the Hebrew church. There's just a little bit of we don't know in that space with any aspect of faith, right? But hermeneutics would be like, when you read a quote from that book, let's say there's one quote that says like, therefore, since we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses or people, let us throw off everything that hinders, so anything that holds us back, and the sin that so easily entangles, or anything that's not in God's will. And then like the punchline is like, let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. In many ways, that expression is kind of like a life verse for me. From a hermeneutics, we'll get to aliens. I'm just giving you the approach. When we look at hermeneutics, the question we'd ask is, what does that sentence mean to that specific body of believers at the time? Well, that group of Hebrew Christian believers were having a lot of doubts. Maybe they were struggling with vices from their prior lives before they decided to follow Jesus. So they got hindrances, some sin in the body. But the big thing, because they're persecuted and marginalized, like, they're just downtrodden, okay? It's hard to show up and run a race when people are killed. So when throw off everything that hinders, the sin that so easily entangles, and run with perseverance. It's not a physical race. He's talking about this enduring, lifelong spiritual race that we have to run. And encouraging them to hold on to their faith, to persevere. That would be great hermeneutics. Exegesis. Sorry, it's gonna get busy here. 1 second. Let me just run. So let's have it awkward. Got one more dog walker. 1 second. When we get to exegesis, and then we'll get to the stars and planets and my perceived understanding. Dude, I have to spend more time with that info about hermeneutics to understand it. Yeah, I'll connect it. Can't you spend time with me? Maybe someday I could do a digital class on it. Or just answer questions live, which is fun. I normally don't get to talk about a lot of this stuff, so it actually helps me with my studies. My path, right? You get to be my Buddhist brother. I get to be your Christian brother. It'll be fun. So, the other side of this is exegesis. Hermeneutics is looking at what did the words mean. I'm gonna walk again. Exegesis, or hermeneutics, is what did the words mean to the body of believers or to those who received them at the time as it was written. And an assumption in that is you can't step the meaning from that intent to something different. It's like taking something out of context. If you don't know what the words meant within that cultural context in that time to those people, if you strip the words from that and apply it to saying that I can use that as encouragement as a runner directly, technically that's like poor hermeneutics. Exegesis starts to ask that question though. Okay, so these words mean this to that people. What can these words mean to me today in my life? What can I apply? What holds true? Because there's certain parts of scripture that talk directly to any believer trying to follow God. And because there's different writing styles within the Bible. There's poetry, there's storytelling, there's historical narrative, there's a whole bunch of stuff. And all of them help us on our walk in different ways. So the exegesis is really the application. So when we look at the Bible concerning like space, aliens, the expansive universe, what does scripture say? Well, from like a hermeneutics perspective, if you look at like the creation story, it says like God created the earth and the heavens and everything in it. So like from a Christian perspective, all the distant stars, all these things are from the working of God's hands in some capacity. Light, darkness, everything under the sun. And again, life, all creatures, high and low, from your tiniest microorganisms to our flesh bodies, right? Like all that. So the area where you have gaps is where like there's a lot of room for interpretation. The Bible never dictates that any other intelligent beings were or weren't created on other planets, and that Jesus could or couldn't have come to them, contextualized into their form as well, that like heaven can be filled not only with human believers but like alien believers. From what we understand of scripture, like when your dog dies, it doesn't have a soul, it doesn't go to heaven. At least that's a belief within like Jehovah's Witnesses, which is kind of a sect of Christianity. I'm not fully well read on animal souls, but the idea that these other creatures could have been created by God on other planets and still have a path of redemption the same way we do would be interesting. Now, what's unique or cool about humans is it said like we were made in God's image, but does that mean that like God literally has arms and legs and a face? Because women were made in his image, men were made in his image. Then when you get on topics of gender, that's really complex. And then from like the exegesis, like there really isn't any exegesis on whether or not life could or couldn't live on other planets and where it like fits. Like the Bible's pretty inclusive. So if there's another intelligent being from another world that somehow discovered scripture and wanted to follow Jesus, knowing God's character of love, and that's all his creation, like I don't see anything in the Bible that would exclude another alien life form from being like, oh wow, yeah, I am sinful, I make mistakes that aren't within God's will and I want to follow him. Again, this is like a really interesting side sermon quest. Is there any particular branch of Christianity that you follow, or is it more general to you? Well, I've learned and worked across a lot of denominations. As a Christian, it's very focused on what my authority says about things, on what an authority says about things. Yeah, I think that could be true. By the way, I'm wrapping the run, so I'm going to cool down, walk it out to the end while we chat. So, from a branch perspective, we go through like my testimony. I didn't grow up in the church, didn't have any spiritual foundation. One more minute. How does that was? So like, I started with like a Baptist background. My parents had a Catholic background. And then one day my mom like watched a televangelist. Awesome work, go, GG. Good game? Is that good game? I think so. Such a noob. You want to see a Shinto shrine really quick? This is what I also normally would run past. But this is all blocked because of stuff. Now, I actually don't know the rules from a Buddhist Shinto faith on filming in these spaces. So we're going to do this in good faith, okay? But people come here and kind of pray and worship. I'm not going to take you all the way in because I don't know the actual like nuance of this particular shrine and what it means to certain people. But typically you'd like wash your hands here to purify yourself. You would then approach this altar and then you would pray in some capacity, which is kind of neat. I went to Catholic school through high school and was confirmed. Oh, nice. It's fine. See, that's what I thought. But like, there's sin in there. Oh, that's a nice spider. Tasty. But there are some where like photography is not allowed, where there's actual monks practicing and stuff, like that's Husa Shrine. There's also like a beautiful stairwell up there with like the little lanterns. It's like a Studio Ghibli movie. I love it. But yeah, so I did like a came to know Christ, become a Christian in like a more conservative Baptist church. Then I became part of a non-denominational Christian fellowship called InterVarsity in college, where I continued to study. Then me and my wife left InterVarsity when we got married and joined a bee. I'm not a fan of bees. I have actually my DadBod running shirt has like a Japanese murder hornet on it. It's hilarious. And then we joined an Assemblies of God multi-ethnic church. That was the first time I started hearing about like God's desire to bring different people groups together in equity and in their diversity, which was very different than the theology we understood from our Baptist upbringing. And then we joined a Pentecostal church in Cincinnati for many years. And then we did missions work in Japan, where we'd help like small churches meet needs in their community. Those stairs are awful. And then we would do, those churches were called the Rango, which is like Japanese Baptist conference. And then I led Bible studies at Johnson & Johnson, just for like people of faith who are interested in how to integrate their career and their faith together. And kind of build out different principles, because in a lot of churches, not all of them, but in a lot of them, there's not a lot of integration of the work of our hands and finding God's purpose in it. So I would lead those groups. There's a lot of Catholics that would come to that. So I've kind of like worked across multiple denominations, and most of them hold to some core beliefs that are similar, but then each denomination has kind of these side beliefs and practices based on their unique interpretation of the scripture. Basically differences in hermeneutics and exegesis. So like LGBTQ, for instance, is a huge area of division and schism within different denominations. Whether you tend more towards conservative background, more towards progressive. Some folks think that progressive is like heretical. Heretical just means like it's taking the scripture but taking it outside of its intent, which is wrong or sin. Like one of the best examples of heresy or like heretical understanding is if you've ever seen Pulp Fiction. Like the Samuel L. Jackson quote in Ezekiel before killing somebody. Not really the intent of that scripture. It looks really cool on cinema. It's heretical. Shun the non-believers. Shun. Are you bringing up Charlie? Yeah, Pulp Fiction's a great movie. Yes, it's fantastic. And Tarantino has a gifting of showing society as it is within its depravity. It's awesome. I love Tarantino's work. Some Christians who are more like Puritan in some of their belief systems, so this is a difference in belief, can't watch Tarantino. But they think they should walk out of those movies or can't be in that presence because it's violence, it's sex, it's sin. For me, it's an open display of what our culture is. And the sides of culture you don't necessarily see if you live in more polished, sheltered, suburban life. Only bringing up Charlie because we watched it the other day. So you're not like a full enthusiast. So yeah, your question of aliens and planets. I think there's a lot of support within the Bible that the entire universe was sculpted by God's hands. That's like our creation narrative. Now, there are differences in belief on whether or not like Earth was made in one literal day, 6 days, or whether it occurred over millions of years with gradual evolution. Because there's full evolution, there's gradual evolution, there's creationalism. That's another area of wide discrepancy. The Bridgestone Hitler mustache is always very interesting to me. Just don't know how I feel about that. But I think the other life forms on other planets and what that means for humans and people of faith, which would be the exegesis. I keep using those two words because they're really odd, but they're really like robust terms. It'd actually be cool for you to apply that to your journey for Buddhism. Right? I mean, just the stars that we know. Like, what do Christians say is the reason for it? Well, there are scriptures like, what is it? The heavens, which would include stars, like the heavens and earth declare the glory of God. So, like, the purpose of creation is to glorify or exalt the Creator, to sing back to it. So there's like certain scriptures that are poetic that talk about like if we as his creation don't praise God or don't glorify him, that even like the rocks will cry out and worship him when his creation turns its back from a human perspective. So that's a good question. So yeah, it exists because it's beautiful and a delight to the one that made it, and that we get to also share in the delight and wonder of it. Yeah. I mean, but the other thing is like, for all of creation, like we're kind of stewards of it. We're allowed to kind of live in the world and make new things. We're not meant to abuse it, which occurs. So that's kind of another, these are good questions. Yeah, I want to know more. I mean, I'm wrapping it up. I think we finish in like a minute, but I want to know more on this stars alien thing from your side as well. Yeah, because you could look at like these big balls of fire out in space, balls of gas, and be like, well, what's the purpose? What's the meaning of that? Why is that out there? You know, and then a lot of more, I want to be careful with my language, like more scientific, atheist-driven perspectives would look at things like that as it just exists because it exists. Like it's the happen chance of time and probability. Richmond, hi, how are you? Well, friend, I'm doing good. I've been chatting with Moondog for about an hour and 20 minutes. We ran walk 5 miles, which is awesome. I'm wrapping up in about a minute. It's related. I finished my DadBod journey. So I ran my half marathon 2 Saturdays ago. And in order to keep that rhythm of training going, even as I keep editing and releasing those videos, I'm figuring out how to live stream my runs. It's not the most aesthetic run because you're just on an iPhone, right? C+ quality, but it gives me someone to talk to. And my friend Moondog is also studying to be a Buddhist monk, and I come from a Christian background, so we're having like a friendly, inclusive, interfaith dialogue as we wrap things
Total
up.
distance 5 miles.
Hey.
Total time 1 hour 15 minutes and 55 seconds. Split pace 19 minutes 12 seconds per mile.
Nice. And now I get to go be a dad. All right, let's see. Sure thing. I think it'd be easier if I could write more than what YouTube comments allow. Well, it would. As a streamer who's also running, it would be very difficult for me. So actually when people drop full paragraphs, it's hard for me to catch them. And especially if multiple people are chatting and then like a paragraph drops, like sometimes it can be too much. But so it helps because I get pieces to go back and forth with, because sometimes I got to read at a glance, contextualize it, and be like, what am I thinking, and answer. Because it's not like a true game of telephone where I talk, you talk, I talk, you talk. It can overlap. Yeah, it's true. We'll have to have Discord combos. Yeah, little by little. And when I'm streaming in a different forum, where I'm not running, different options. So this is what's closed off, but this is my ravine. So it's one of the only ravines in Tokyo. There's like waterfalls and stuff. It's beautiful. So I would normally run through that to start, but because it's blocked for safety. Konnichiwa, watashi wa kanji 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 sen man sen nihongo wa kanji, I don't know. I need to study Bakugaijin. Dumb foreigner. Hey, TJ Richmond, Moondog. I got kids to go feed breakfast because they got to go to school. Thanks for being part of this live. I want to do this more often, so I hope it's valuable for you. Continue on in your fitness journey, and I'll see you around, friends. Have a good one.